Amazon hasn't had much luck in recent years with the superhero genre. The Boys, one of its most successful shows in its early seasons, gradually lost steam due to its heavy political content and some aesthetic change in the cast. But that hasn't stopped them from trying. This time, they are going all in, combining nostalgia with a beloved actor and a character that has been reinterpreted countless times in both comics and on screen. And I am talking about Spider-Man Noir, played by Nicolas Cage. So, here we go again. Hello dear viewers and welcome back. My name is Amilcar, I am a sci-fi and dark fantasy author, and this is 4 Cents. First, some context. Spider-Man Noir is part of the Marvel Noir universe, Earth 9214, a comic line that reimagines Marvel heroes in the Great Depression era, this is the 30s, with a classic film noir aesthetic. Political corruption, gangsters, hard-boiled detectives, moral ambiguity, and rawer violence. His first appearance was in 2009 in Spider-Man Noir No. 1, created by David Hine and Fabrice Sapolsky on script, with Carmine Di Giandomenico on art and Marco Jurjevic in charge of suite design. The story is a dark reinvention of the hero's origin. Peter Parker is a young reporter and photographer in New York in 1933. He lives with his Aunt May, who runs a shelter for the homeless. His Uncle Ben dies brutally at hands of criminals, specifically the Vulture, a cannibal working for the Goblin. While investigating smuggling, Peter breaks an ancient idol and is bitten by a mystical spider, not a radioactive one. He has a vision of a spider god and awakens his powers. He adopts a black suit inspired by his Uncle Ben's old World War I military uniform, trench coat, goggles, and a leather mask. Now comes the major difference from Stan Lee's classic version. This Spider-Man, the Noir Spider-Man, uses guns and is willing to kill, at least at the beginning. He's much more brutal and has a hard-boiled detective attitude. His enemies are noir version of classic villains, Norman Osborn as a mob boss, Goblin, Kraven, Chameleon, Dr. Octopus, etc. And Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, appears as a seductive and dangerous femme fatale. It is worth highlighting an important change in this Amazon adaptation. The protagonist is not Peter Parker, but Ben Reilly. The showrunners made this decision deliberately. They wanted a more adult, cynical, and hardened protagonist, much more fitting for a classic noir detective. That's why they choose Ben Reilly, Peter's clone in the main comics, and presented him as a down-on-his-luck private detective, a weary and life-scarred man who fits perfectly with the dark and pessimistic tone of the Marvel Noir universe. From the description I just gave, it's clear that this version follows the same line as The Boys in terms of rawness and violence. While in the classic Marvel version and the cinematic universe, Spider-Man has a strong moral code that imposes very clear limits, in this noir version those limits practically don't exist. And it's precisely that difference that makes Nicolas Cage an almost perfect choice for the character. After all, we already seen him in roles like Ghost Rider or Big Daddy in Kick-Ass, a dark, intense, and ruthless anti-hero. So, It's logical to expect Cage to play a more violent, cynical, and merciless Spider-Man. That said, and as always, a large part of the success will depend on the script and how they approach both the character and his story. One of the most interesting aspects of this production is the creative team behind the cameras, specifically the showrunners. The series was developed by Oren Uziel, who also serves as co-showrunner alongside Steve Lightfoot. Uziel is known for his work on scripts like 22 Jump Street and The Lost City, projects that combine action, humor, and agile storytelling. His initial involvement generated expectation on a fresh approach that respects the comic sense. Later, Steve Lightfoot joined as a co-showrunner. Lightfoot brings relevant experience in dark and violent anti-hero stories. He was the showrunner on Netflix The Punisher from 2017 to 2019, where he showed skill in handling complex, morally gray protagonists with high action and raw content. This background made him a logical choice for a more adult and cynical version of Spider-Man, as I said before. Both showrunners developed the series in collaboration with Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, responsible for the Into Spider-Verse, along with Amy Pascal as executive producers. This combination creates an interesting balance. On one hand, Lord and Miller's cinematic and creative vision, on the other, the cruder and more grounded television experience brought by Uziel and Lightfoot. These duo showrunners suggest that Amazon is looking for a tone that combines classic noir style with a more mature contemporary television narrative. It's not coincidence that they choose someone with a Punisher background, because it seems like a clear bet to differentiate from the more familiar version of Spider-Man that we got on the big screen, aligning with the rawness I mentioned a bit earlier. So, in conclusion, if Amazon stays faithful to the original material and sets identity politics aside, it could score a big hit with this new version of the Arachnid hero. Everything seems to indicate that it is the intention, as one of the most interesting confirmed details is that the series will be released in two formats, one in normal color and another in authentic black and white, in clear reference to the film noir that inspired the Marvel Noir universe. We just have to wait until May 27 to see if Amazon delivers a series on par with the first seasons of The Boys, or if it joins the list of its recent television disappointments. As I always say, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. I love to read your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited about this new version of Spider-Man? What do you think of Nicolas Cage playing a more adult and cynical Peter Parker? Do you like the idea of the series being available in both color and black and white? Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Amilcar, and I'll see you in the next 4 Cents video. Bye bye.